Welcome to Deep Cuff Channel. Historical victory of the Ukrainian army. Russia suffered one of the biggest defeats in its history. Ukrainians celebrate their victory. President of Ukraine Zelensky made important statements about the state of the war. New weapon of the Ukrainian army will be able to shoot the Russians from 1,000 kilometers away. After the historic offensive of the Ukrainian army, Russia was forced to close its airspace. Unmanned aerial vehicles continue to form the basis of warfare. Putin is angry. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken warned Ukraine and its Western allies. Russia can send one of its newest warplanes to the front. There is important news. Advance of the Ukrainian army continues from where it left off. According to the latest news from the region, Russia cannot prevent its losses. According to the statement made by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Russia lost 510 soldiers, 5 tanks, 5 armored combat vehicles, 1 air defense system, 5 unmanned aerial vehicles, and a total of 61 cruise missiles in the last 24 hours. These Russian casualties came after coordinated and organized attacks by the Ukrainian army. Following this published list, the Ukrainian General Staff shared a new update on the front. Accordingly, the Ukrainian Defense Forces repelled Russian attacks near 7 settlements and struck clusters of Russian forces from the air and from the ground. While most of these attacks took place in the Bakhmut, Andriivka, Yakovlivka, Solder, Kurdyamivka and Krasnohorivka regions, Russia tried to launch serious counterattacks. According to reports from local sources, Russian forces attempted 38 attacks using multiple launch rocket systems. In addition to these 38 attacks, Russia tried to organize 17 more operations, including the Air Force. Most of these Russian offensive attempts were successfully repelled by the defense units of the Ukrainian army. Meanwhile, important news came from the Eastern Front. In the last 24 hours, it was announced that 15 attacks were carried out on the areas where the Ukrainian army, Russian troops, weapons and military equipment are concentrated, and 5 attacks on the anti-aircraft missile systems positions. In addition, Ukrainian rocket forces and artillery units hit 2 command posts, 8 troop concentration areas, and an important Russian military target in the past day. Meanwhile, the U.S. Wall Street Journal reported that the U.S. had secretly modified the HIMARS rocket launchers it sent to Ukraine, so it would be impossible for Ukraine to use them to launch long-range missiles into Russian territory. For this reason, the Ukrainian army could not use the support of the HIMARS systems in the attacks it carried out yesterday on the air bases under the control of the Russian army. On the other hand, Dnipropetrovsk Oblast President Valentin Reznichenko and Dnipropetrovsk Regional Council President Mykola Lukashuk reported that the Russian army carried out a total of 50 attacks in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Valentin Reznichenko reported that the main targets of these attacks were Nikopol, Chervenog Rigorivsk and Marganitsk. Since these areas have been the main target of Russia for some time, it is normal for them to be attacked. While the conflicts on the territory of Ukraine continued at full speed, a historical event took place on the territory of Russia. According to local sources in the area, drones attacked the Russian secret facility 80 km from the Ukrainian border. Russian Telegram channel Baza announced that UAVs attacked the Slava factory on the night of December 6, causing serious damage in the region. While it is stated that the attack was carried out with 2 unmanned aerial vehicles, it is stated that researches on the subject are currently ongoing. Ukrainian authorities have not officially confirmed that the attacks were carried out. Unprecedented attacks in Russia show the whole world that the Ukrainian army is the main target. One of the airfields hit is home to bombers capable of carrying nuclear weapons. In particular, the attacks yesterday and today demonstrated the vulnerability of some of Russia's most strategic military areas. In addition, since these attacks were carried out with air troops, the effectiveness of Russian air defense systems began to be seriously questioned. Ministry did not say where the drones came from, but Russian military bloggers claimed they were probably controlled and sent to the area by Ukrainians. Russian Ministry of Defense also confirmed that the 2 drones that carried out the attack were downed and neutralized. Ukraine launched an attack on Russian air bases by an unnamed Soviet-made jet plane, the Russian Defense Ministry said in a statement. If the Ukrainian army carried out these attacks, it is currently unknown what systems they used. However, some military officials claimed that this attack may have been carried out by a domestic and national unmanned aerial vehicle developed by the Ukrainian army. Ukraine's state defense agency Ukroboronprom said on the 4th of December that a fighter jet it was developing had passed a series of successful test phases and is now entering a testing phase under electronic warfare. We promise to carry out the tests by the end of this year. We are working to achieve this, said Natalia Sad, spokesperson for Ukroboronprom. Announcement came a day before Russia reported explosions at airports hosting strategic bombers. On the 17th of October, Ukroboronprom reported that after Russia's series of attacks on Kyiv and Mykolaiv using Iranian-made Shahed 136 aircraft, Ukraine has finished production of its new UAV capable of carrying 75 kilograms of explosives to a distance of 1,000 km. Reporting that Ukraine is developing this system was interpreted as a direct challenge to Russia. In addition, the president of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky concluded his visit to the Donetsk region. Zelensky, who left the region, once again expressed his gratitude to his army. Meanwhile, Russia is trying to take new steps to strengthen its air force and win the Ukraine war. Russia is struggling to produce the Su-57, the most advanced fighter the world has ever known. However, some military experts and Yuri Slyusar think that Russia will have at least one Su-57 fleet by 2025. These planes, which are claimed to be produced, can also be used against the Ukrainian army if they can be produced before. It is already known in the Kremlin that the authorities and Vladimir Putin want a military fleet of these planes. However, the real issue here is not just to produce the aircraft. It is also important to train the pilot who will use that plane. Since Russia knows this, it has already started looking for pilots. However, the resignation of most of the pilots serving in the Russian army complicates the situation. Even if Russia has several fleets of Su-57s, it is estimated that it has no pilots to operate it. Meanwhile, the German government accelerated the armament process and sent more tanks to Ukraine. After the NATO foreign ministers' meeting in Bucharest last week, the German government declared that arms shipments to Kiev should be accelerated and that it wanted to do everything they could to solve this problem. According to media reports, Berlin is sending 7 more Gepard anti-aircraft tanks to the Ukrainian army. News magazine Der Spiegel reported that the tanks were currently refurbished by Munich-based arms company Krauss Maffei Wegmann. Russia currently does not have enough strength to fight these tanks. Vladimir Putin knows this very well. That's why Western countries warn Ukraine about this. United States remains concerned that Russia may use diplomatic negotiations as a ploy to improve its tactical position on the battlefield to end the war in Ukraine. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said the war would most likely eventually end diplomatically, but added that Russia is not currently interested in meaningful negotiations that could lead to a definitive peace. Ukrainian army has taken all the necessary precautions regarding this issue. Victory to Ukraine. We will continue to monitor the world and especially Ukraine. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.